So ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at your homework from last night. Now I didn't have anybody do any big attempts on this, which is disappointing. It was only 6 problems. So we are going to go over some of these. So you should have a piece of paper out in front of you. And it is on page 524. Okay. So let's work on doing some of this together. You guys know you can get half credit on this if you bring it done to me on Monday. Okay, this is number 4 from your homework. Okay. It says x and y, we've got -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Which are the normal numbers you guys are going to use? Okay. And then we've got 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Okay, remember the closed form that we talked about for the King's problem? It looked like this. Y equals AB to the x. All your problems tonight on the packet, well, today, on that packet are going to look similar to this. Okay? So, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what A and B are from this table. You guys have it the other way around. You have the equation, and you're making the table. Irene, you need to be writing this down. So this is how we're going to figure out what A and B are. We're going to take the 0. Anything to the 0 power is what? Who remembers? What was that? 1. So if I put this into this problem, so if I put 4 equals AB to the 0, okay? B to the 0 power I know is going to become 1, so I'm not going to worry about that right this second. Okay, so A is going to have to be what? If we divide 4 divided by 1, what do we get? 1. We get 4. So A equals 4. So then let's plug that in. Y equals 4 times B to the x. Let's take another one. Let's take one that's not a negative exponent because we know those are a little more difficult. Let's plug in 1. So we get 8 equals 4 times B to the first. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And I get 8 divided by 4 gives me 2 equals B to the first. Anything to the first power is itself, right? So we know B has to be 2. So my equation is Y equals 4 times 2 to the x. There, the next ones, problems 10, 14, 18, and 24, you have to graph all of them. So I'm going to do one graph up here, so if you guys try your homework again, you can do these graphs and use it as an example. Okay? I'm going to look at I'm going to look at a graph. So let's look at that first one. Let's look at number 10. Y equals 7 to the x. So this is just like what you guys are doing on your packet today. Okay? So I'm going to make a table. I'm going to plug in -2, -1, 0, 1, and I'm going to plug in 2. So a lot of you have been having trouble with these negatives. So let's try it. Y equals 7 to the -2. What happens, we talked about this on Tuesday at the beginning of class, when we take something to a negative power, we flip it. Okay? What's 1 times 1? What's 7 times 7? 49. Do you see how I get that? That's the same thing as 1/7 times 1/7. Oops. I wrote 7 instead of 1/7. You guys see that? Okay. All right. let's look at taking it to the negative 1 power. So let's say this all together. When we have a negative exponent, we? When we have a negative exponent, we? One more time. If we have a negative exponent, we?
Flip it.
That's what I'm looking for. Y equals 1/7 to the first power. Anything to the first power is? Itself. Right? So we get 1/7. Now here's a tricky one. Please raise your hand if you can tell me this answer. If you take something to a 0 power, what does your answer be? Don't say it out loud. Raise your hand. 1. Anything taken to the 0 power is 1. So if I've got y equals 7 to the 0 power, there's nothing being multiplied to it, I get 1. Okay? I'm going to erase all my scratch work. Okay. So, if I take y equals 7 to the first power, I get 7. If I take y equals 7 squared, I get 49. Do you see at the 0, it's the reflection of itself? Right? We have 1/7, 7. We have 1/49, 49. Okay. So our next step is we figured this out. We're going to graph it. I've got my x-axis, I've got my y-axis. I know that my x is going to go from -2 to 2. Okay, this is the hard part. What's the biggest number I have on there? 49. If I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spots on my graph, like you guys usually do on the graph paper that I give you, how am I going to figure out my scale?
So go about 10.
We could go up by 7. You want to try by 7? Why by 7? If we go 7, 14, what's the way that I taught you about the king's problem? Divide by 10. But 49 doesn't go in there evenly, so I'm going to round up to 50. And I go 50 divided by 10 gives me 5. 7 will work. You could do that too in this case. As the number gets bigger, it might be harder to figure out what it is, so you divide by 10. So I'm going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. Okay? Now I'm going to plot these points. At -2, we're at 149. So you see how close I am to the 0, but not on the 0. At -1, I'm at 1/7. See how close I am, not on the 0, but just above the 0. I'm at 1, so I'm just a little higher. At 1, I'm at 7, so I'm somewhere between 5 and 10. At 2, I'm almost all the way to 50, but not quite. Do you see how it never hits 0 and never really goes below that line? Okay, you have 3 more graphs like that for homework, and then a challenge problem. Okay, that was last night's homework. So you can work on that. Right now, you need to work on your packets in your group. You're going to work on, if you don't understand something, asking somebody at your table before you ask an adult. Because if I come by, because you say, Miss Murphy, I don't understand, and there's 2 people at your table that know how to do it, you didn't ask a single one of them, I'm going to walk away. All right.